Hello, folks. It's your buddy Mike Messier. This is Mike's Instant Movie Review playlist here on Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. A lot of people have been telling me they like these reviews, so feel free to share the URL, copy and paste. You've been around the block, you know how to do these things. You go up to the top of your little screen, you highlight the fucking URL, you right click copy, you take it to Facebook, Twitter, whatever the fuck, and you click paste in a post. That's all you have to do. So I just saw Eternals. Now, this was not a movie I was all psyched up to go see. You know, I do typically see most movies that are in the major motion pictures. I'm here to monitor the business, the industry of entertainment, and see what's out there and what people are responding to and what they're not. But you know, to be honest with you, this is a film I probably would have liked a lot better when I was a teenager. And other things, I don't know. I mean, you know, with these Marvel fucking movies, a lot of times it's just 12 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. You know what I mean? They just shoehorn a bunch of shit in there. You know, I see all these fucking movies, but I can never make sense of them because it seems like all these fucking movies, the whole point of them is not to really entertain you with this movie, but to hook you in to go see a bunch of other fucking movies. And I just don't like that it seems to me to be a manipulative business model. That being said, I'm glad I saw this movie in 3D because I was telling myself, you know, and I kind of knew that the story would probably be lacking for me individually. But if I saw this thing in 3D, I'm curious how the 3D looks, and it looked great. You know, as far as the actual 3D special effects, and I mean, this is not your grandfather's 3D movies these days. These 3D movies, if you get a chance, I think it's worth the upgrade in ticket price or however you do things. Now, with me, with this AMC theater chain, there's a weird guy walking around the parking lot right now. But with these movies, the 3D was actually included. There was no upcharge, and you know, go invest my time into this thing. This creepy weirdo was walking by. Okay, he's gone now. I hope weirdo. But seeing this movie, the 3D was quite good. Now we get into the storyline, and it's just, to me, it's all over the fucking place. Maybe if you're someone who's seen a bunch of these films, we have a comment here. Nope, we don't. My buddy, hi Eric, how you doing, pal? Um, yeah, I do agree, buddy. Pete was a nice guy who was at Avalonia Festival yesterday. Thanks, Pete. Good to see you here, buddy. Um, but yeah, the 3D was amazing. Now, here's the thing: was the story amazing, Pete? And Pete, maybe you're more of an enthusiast for this Marvel comic universe than I am, or an expert, because I try to get into these things, but I just don't really know what's going on, to be honest with you. And it's just like they throw all these, like all the characters' names. Sprite, I believe, is wasn't that from one of the Hamlet plays, like the Midsummer's Night's Dream or something, and all the characters have these gods' names, and it's all these allusions to other things. And I just, like I said, it's 12 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag for me, but maybe others connect with it. I don't know what to tell you. So, I mean, I guess what my first thing to say is, if you're wondering, should I go see this movie, Mike? I would say, well, you know, like Pete, who already saw in 3D, if you are so inspired to see these movies, if you keep up to pace with all these 3D movies, then see them. You know what I mean? If you want to see this movie, see it. But if you weren't planning on seeing this movie and you're checking out my Mike's Instant Movie Review, is this the opening round of you into the introduction of the Marvel comic universe? Probably not, because I think you'd probably get confused. You know what I mean? And I see these movies and I still get confused. Kind of unrelated, but from what you said, it sort of sounds how convoluted how Superman versus Batman was. That sounds about right. You know what? I think that one I missed too. And I missed the Superman versus Batman, Ben Affleck or Affleck. As I was leaving the theater just now, I saw a sign for, you know, the Batman. You know, March 4th, I believe. The Batman. Oh, okay. Excuse me. The Batman. And I don't know what to say, because how many fucking Batman movies do we need? And that's immediately what I thought. Like, We've gone through the Michael Keaton Batman 30 years ago. Then we had Val Kilmer for a cup of coffee. Then we had George Clooney, and he was a big fail. Then we took a break, and it came back strong with the guy, the machinist guy, and everyone was excited about him. Then he left for whatever reason, and we got Ben Affleck. Let's see here. Honestly, I got hooked from beginning to end. I lowered my expectations after Rotten Tomatoes reviews. Well, that's the thing with me, Pete, is I don't read reviews before I see movies. In fact, I'm seeing the movie tomorrow night. It's like a big secret premiere for individuals like myself. This new Kenneth Branagh film, which I really don't know nothing. I know nothing about it, and I didn't even want to watch the trailer because I just want to be surprised. Pete, I would compare Eternals to DC's Watchmen, but on steroids. Yeah, you're probably right. When did The Watchmen come out? 10 years ago? I think 2010 or 2011. Just shows you how fast these actors and actresses. Who was the blonde actress in that movie? That she was like in she was in a comedy with Ben Stiller, and she was like the big thing for half a week. You know what I mean? But we don't see her anymore. You know what I'm talking about. She was in all the rom-coms for a while, but you know, it's just the disposable nature of this industry. So anyway, I mean, I was watching this movie. I try to be polite about this, but I had my seat in the back row of the theater. I was sitting where I wanted to sit, and then this couple comes up and they sit like there's like me, an empty seat, and then them, and then one of the members of the couple takes his shoes off, right? So I look over and there's these bare naked feet in front of me, and I'm like, am I supposed to sit here with? Because I know they're gonna canoodle fuck, you know what I mean? And I just didn't want to tolerate it, so I just left them to have the back row. You know, wipe off the seats when you're done, folks. And I just went to the front row, and I'm sitting in the handicaps section, because there was actually a real live handicap person there today who was there with family and friends, but they still had one seat for me. I do hate feet, buddy. And I'm just sitting there in the front row, and then there's like these children behind me, like this pack of boys, young talking gentlemen, like probably 10-year-olds, who they were getting shushed left and right. And honestly, I didn't shush them because they're giggling, and their fucking commentary was kind of telling me what was going on in the movie. Like they were indicating to me what was happening when I didn't understand. And to be honest, I fell asleep several times. I took several mic naps in the middle of the film. So I mean, it is what it is. Now, as far as the other things, I mean, look, some of the things that I thought about in this film experience, Angelina Jolie. I mean, if you look at what was the movie where she played the model, Gia, her HBO big movie, once again, 25 years ago. But if you look at her then and you look at her now, I mean, look, age hates everybody. Age just eats us all up. So comparatively, she looks pretty damn good. And I'm not just trying to evaluate her based on her looks, but I have to say, the lip job, I mean, what the fuck? You know what I mean? When did she get this? I mean, that's not her real lips, right? You know what I mean? Like, she's got these pouty fucking lips. Like, her upper lip looks like somebody punched her in the fucking face, and she's in recovery. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just saying, why do these beautiful women get this cosmetic surgery when 9 times out of 10 they look worse? I just don't get it. I don't understand. It's just odd to me. I mean, the women wrestlers are the same way. They get all this crap in their face. The silicone or the adjustments or the Botox. Salma Hayek's in this thing. And, it's nice to see her. I mean, I did see Penelope Cruz in that Sopranos movie a few weeks ago, but nice to see Salma. And, but I mean, God, it's just like... the Eternals have to come, spoilers, I guess. The Eternals have to come, and they have to fucking monitor and help the human race, because the human race is also fucked up, and we're all going to kill each other. But thank God we have these Eternals. Oh, okay, thanks. And then at the end, the Sprite one, spoilers, takes a fucking knife and stabs the other one in the back. And this other one's kind of a hussy. I mean, she's got this god that she's having this romance with, and then there's this human she's having another romance with. So come on. I mean, Jesus. So I guess we have to share women now between gods and normal men. But then big fucking reveal at the end we find out that he's a god too, or he has some other fucking thing going on. Then, spoilers. If you left, you couldn't leave. I knew this would happen. You couldn't leave during the first round of credits because all these fucking movies, they all think they're so unique, but they all do the same thing. They give you some fucking button at the end. Like they give you the fucking credits, and then there's a little humor button or a little teaser fuck to get you to get your tickets ready for the next one. And this time it's the guy shows up from wherever the fuck, and he's playing the 70s music from his little thing, and it's is this a reference to Guardians of the Galaxy? Is that what's going on? I mean, I try to connect the dots. I don't know if they're even in the same thing, but I think what they were referencing was some type of crossover to Guardians of the Galaxy for a hybrid film. That's how I interpreted it, because they had the song by Foreigner or whatever the fuck. So I just thought that was the case, but I could be wrong. So anyway, what would I say? I don't know. I think the problem for me, folks, is that this tapestry of this Marvel comic universe, I think I'm like the normal person who I'll go if I feel like going, but I'm not going to read a stack of comic books, and I'm not going to go on some Reddit thread to understand the movie before I go see it. But it's just the CGI villains things, and this thing, the CGI villains, what are they called? The creations or the destructors or something? Whatever they were kind of like this weird dinosaur hybrid, although they show them killing dinosaurs at one point. I did like how the movie jumped around in different timelines, like different, spaces of time. That was kind of cool. Eric says, I wish they would have gone with a dejected Batman story. Yeah, man, but this is the thing, and it's very similar to how the WWE is just coasting. These companies, once they know that the fan base is going to buy the tickets to see all these movies, they don't, not to say they don't care about quality, but quality is not the biggest concern. It's how do we just keep making more and more of these things, and to me, I think part of effective filmmaking is making a movie that tells a great story in 90 minutes. That's it. It's kind of like a failure if you think about it. A movie like Birdman or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or whatever, just movies that stand out is just an individual fucking movie that didn't need 30 movies. I mean, if you need 30 movies to tell your story, there's something wrong with you. But it's not that there's something wrong with them. It's that they're squeezing the people, the public, for the money. So they hook you in with these little teases and tags, and you're going to have to see this one next, and you just get hooked in. I mean, when Scorsese a couple of years ago said something to the effect that this was not his type of cinema, or it wasn't cinema, people got all hot and bothered, but he was right. That crossover was too long-winded that this story came in. I don't know if you're talking about Batman versus Superman, Eric, or you talk about this thing. In any event, yeah, I mean, always remember you got to clarify, because by the time I see your comment, I might have yapped off about something else. So yeah, the crossover thing, and this is not how I like my films. You know what I mean? I like my films to be self-sufficient. Batman versus Superman. Yeah, man, and I never even saw it, to be honest with you. I don't remember who. I think that's when Affleck took over Batman, and who was the guy that everybody loved, the machinist guy, the fighter guy, the great actor that everyone, the guy that yells at PAs and all that good stuff. People have been asking me, Mike, what do you make of this Alec Baldwin story or this horrible accident? I think it is a horrible thing, but to be honest, and I think I just did a Facebook post about this. I'm talking about the Superman Batman was 3 hours. That's pretty long. When I'm thinking about that accident that took place on this film, yeah, Christian Bale. That's it, buddy. Good job, Eric. Thanks, buddy. Christian Bale. Everyone was singing a song about him for a while, and then he left the project. What was I saying? This Rust accident. First of all, I guess I don't want to do a video where I'm guessing what happened or whatever, but I would just say that because I was nowhere near that situation, obviously. Horrible situation. And then there was reports, and I saw an interview with a guy that was on the camera crew who I guess resigned either the day before or the morning of the accident, like before the accident take place. Hey, Lawrence Laza Johnson, nice to see you, buddy. Good day. All greetings from Australia. Nice to see you, buddy. So I'm discussing this film. Um, yeah, we're talking about Christian Bale's getting some press. Talking about this accident on the film set. Russ, look, I'm not an expert, but I did watch an interview. If you find it, it's probably on YouTube already. The guy who resigned from the crew like the morning of the accident and before it happened, which I think is, I mean, not to say great for him, but he had the foreshadowing. This is the thing, folks. I've been on a lot of movie sets, union, non-union, all points in between, student films. I can't remember ever hearing of a crew resigning in its entirety. I've seen people leave sets. I've left the set once because things were happening that were god awful and a waste of time, and I couldn't stand it. And I've seen other people leave sets when situations happened and people didn't get along. But I've never heard of like a group of people resigning simultaneously. I don't want to say that's unheard of, but it's kind of unheard of. And I'll tell you why, because people typically need the money. This is their job. And even if they call it, quote, a shit show, quote, which is what, you know, film people often say about a movie. If it's a lot of things are going wrong, they use the term a shit show. But in this situation, for a whole bunch of crew members to resign is very unusual. You know, not that I've been on a million film sets, but I've been probably in the triple digits at this point. And for people to resign off a crew doesn't happen a whole lot. So I got to think, you know, that is a really interesting thing to me in a way that's like, okay, you know, and then this wardrobe lady comes out and she tries to defend the production. And my thought with her is, hey, look, if you're in costume wardrobe, you're not exactly on set. Like you're getting everybody, you know, cleaned up and dressed up to go on set. But you're, as the costume person, no offense to her, but she's not really in the heart of the dragon with these prop weapons and all the things that these camera crew were complaining about. Costume lady's not really near there. So sure, she might have thought everything was sugar plums and lollipops and handshakes and high fives, but meanwhile, the camera crew is getting their fingernails dirty. They know the real story. What's Eric saying here, buddy? The conspiracy theories about Baldwin are crazy on that set. Well, I guess the armorer, you know, the lady who's young and she's nepotism recipient because her father was in the industry. And she, you know, kind of did this podcast a week before the accident saying she was nervous about these weapons. She did herself no favors by being on that podcast, right? And maybe she was nervous and she was in over her head, but why did they hire her? I don't understand it. I mean, it's a horrible thing. A lot of people are throwing this assistant director guy under the bus. Like I said in my first post about this, if Baldwin, he's listed as a producer, but usually on films there's more than one producer, and oftentimes, a little industry secret for you folks, if an actor especially is listed as a producer, sometimes it just means they took a cut in pay or they're getting a deferred payment for their acting in exchange for the producer credit. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case here, but it could mean that. So my point is simply, I don't know. I'm glad that I wasn't part of it, to be honest with you. The conspiracy theories that Eric just referenced, I think that's quite interesting, buddy. Look, I mean, the whole thing a few weeks ago with Gabby and the loser Brian individual. I don't know. I'm sure that there's going to be a whole bunch of YouTube theories on that, if there's not already, because some of the photos of the young lady before she passed away were in front of a monarch butterfly. Look into that. There's all types of things with monarch butterflies and symbolism. And also, I guess she posted Happy Halloween in her final photograph, and she's holding a little stuffed pumpkin, like a little toy pumpkin made out of felt or something. And so people are, why is she Instagramming Happy Halloween in the middle of August or the end of August? And why is her hair like her roots are not showing. So they thought maybe it's an old picture, maybe somebody else, possibly Brian, posted the picture because she was not able to post because she would have been dead by then. Really weird stuff. I mean, I watched this whole 2020 2-hour story about it. 2020 is kind of interesting now. Back in the day, 2020 would have like 3 20-minute stories. Now they just go for broke. They have like a 2-hour movie. So if you're into like current events and you want to see like a nice polished, video on current events, find the 2020 shows there. It's pretty interesting about Gabby and Brian. So, I mean, there's so much real life drama going on in the world that sometimes seeing a movie, it's like, oh, if I go see a movie, I'm going to miss out on the news. I mean, you get the Capitol building getting attacked. You have all these politicians who, can't remember their own names. And so it's kind of exciting. Just the world is just exciting enough. You don't even need a movie sometimes, but it's still, I go to the films. The Eternals, look, I don't know what to say. If you like this type of thing, this is a type of thing for people who like this type of thing, as Cornette says. But for me, I don't know. Like I've seen enough of the goddamn Marvel comic fucking movies. I think that I should be in on this thing, but I just don't know. Yeah, buddy, it's very interesting, Lawrence, and I don't know if they're on YouTube. I know that I have YouTube TV, which is a great way to enjoy cable television. I don't know if they have that in Australia, mate, so to speak. But I think that if 2020 shows are pretty interesting. So maybe if you just have some type of cable TV, you can find them. I believe, I could be wrong, but I think there's actually a 2020 Australia version that had this. They have a lot of interesting stories on YouTube. The 2020 Australia. I watched, I believe, an interview with not Margot Kidder, the redheaded lady on the show Taxi. She's been an actress for a long time, and I believe she has that condition where you can remember your entire life. There are people that just can remember everything from their whole lives' existence. Like if you give them a Tuesday, 1995, May 8th, they can tell you, oh, yes, I was going to the podiatrist, and then I went to the dentist, and then I brushed my teeth, and I ate a lobster omelet for breakfast that day. And they can tell you everything they did at any part of their lives. And it's a very interesting condition. I'm not saying disease out of respect, but that actress lady, her name is like Margot or Margaret or Marge or some M, the redheaded lady from Taxi. I'm getting a little tongue-tied because I'm kind of dry in the throat. My timing was off today, so I was thinking I was going to have a beverage during the film, but I never got one. And do I feel Eternals? Do you feel Eternals that it was a good stir? A good story, you mean? Scott, hey, you and Scott. Well, I'm mixed, Scott, because my basic point of this whole video was the 3D looked awesome. 3D looked great. And I'm not sure about this story because it just seemed like it was just trying to get me to watch more stories. I have a love-hate for the Marvel films. Some are really good and some are the shits. Yeah, you said it, buddy. And go back to Scott. So the whole review, Scott, you can go back and watch my whole review. But I get into that. But I mean, I thought there was windows of opportunity but this is what I like, Scott. I like character development. I like stories with some good dialogue. And this is all about posturing because the actors, for the most part, are on a green screen. So they're acting in front of a green screen, and you have to give the actors some credit because they're trying to make this thing sellable, but they're acting on a green screen, and all these special effects are thrown in later, unless the special effects are done first and the actors get to see them. But to me, the human element is kind of non-existent in some ways, or just you can just see it's like the posturing. There's a certain style of acting that I call posturing. And some of the bigger names, like an Angelina Jolie, she can get by on posturing because she's really good at being her. And so she can just make these big eye fucking movements and stuff. Do you feel it was pandering? I don't know. Pandering to who? I mean, I think it's just another comic movie, maybe pandering to 12-year-olds. I don't know. I mean, pandering, I'm not sure, but I think it's just trying to get you to watch more Marvel comic movies because, like I said, spoiler, but there's a thing at the end where they try to get you to see more of these movies. And so now we're going to have a crossover. You know what I mean? I also have a love-hate with the DC films. Feel the same way with them. There you go, buddy. I just don't know what to say, Scott. I mean, I don't know. Pandering, I'm not sure what you mean. Like, but I've said this in other videos. Is there some type of contingency of people that read comic books all the time that I'm not aware of? You know what I mean? Like when I go out in public and I go to the coffee house or I go to other places, I don't see people sitting there with stacks of comic books reading them. You know what I mean? So like, I just wonder, where is this whole mass populace of people reading comic books or graphic novels that I'm not aware of? I mean, because I think I'm pretty well circulated, but are people, subscribing to comic books now and when they're not on their cell phones? I mean, I just don't see it. So when these Marvel comic movies, they drag up every fucking character they can to make a movie out of them. Where's the audience for this thing? Well, I guess I'm there too. But I don't know. It's just interesting to me that we're all seeing these fucking things, but nobody seems to like them. Hey, Jake, how's it going, buddy? Jake has a nice pro wrestling podcast. We'll get together soon, Jake, for a nice double thing. I was watching some of your podcasts, Jake. Very interesting stuff. I saw you with your friends, and there was some type of drama or histrionics on your show. There was some type of conflict. I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on, but I guess somebody said something that upset somebody, and somebody said something else. So there you go. But in any event, I don't know, folks. I saw Eternals 3D. If you're going to see this, I will say this: see it with the real 3D. That's the start of this movie in my book. The real 3D is the way you see this thing. I don't know if I could have tolerated the movie without the 3D aspect. So the next thing I'll probably see, I'm way behind on these films. What's up, Mike? How you doing, buddy? Just evaluating this film. I took time off from watching football to go see a movie in the middle of a Sunday afternoon. That's what's going on, buddy. But I don't know. Thanks, Jake. I appreciate that, pal. Thanks, Jake. Jake, you can put your wrestling podcast name down there, buddy. Jake does a wrestling podcast, and he has some interesting friends that are on it as well, and I'll be on there soon. So it is what it is. I saw the movie. Here's the thing. When I came out of the movie and I got into my car, you know how I felt? I felt like I didn't learn anything. I didn't learn anything about these characters or society. I didn't feel like I learned anything that I didn't already know. And I was kind of confused. Spoiler. Why did the Sprite character stab the other one in the back if they were just going to be friends 10 minutes later? I didn't get it. You know what I mean? Laurent says, enjoyed when Netflix did the Marvel shows, really enjoyed Daredevil and Punisher. The Eternals was not a major storyline. Yeah, exactly, Scott. I didn't see this being, I don't know, man. So Mike, here we get some people saying hi to each other. Yeah, I don't know what to say, man. I just don't know. It wasn't a great movie, man. It just, to me, production value is one thing and story is the other. If you have great production value, which this movie did, wouldn't it be nice to have great story? And I don't think it did. Another thing is you got to have a great antagonist. This antagonist, I can't remember the Destroyers or the Dementors, these monsters, but you can't really boo for a fucking monster because it's just a monster. So then the Eternals all turn on each other. And there's like the one that's like kind of Irish, but he's kind of not. And he's like, oh, we've been doing the wrong thing for 7,000 years. And it's like, oh, what's going on here? In the name of the Father, is that suddenly coming over this movie? I appreciate that, Jake. Thanks, buddy. Jake's a good guy. Shared the live stream on Facebook and Twitter. I'm just saying that I'm trying to get through this movie. I'm trying to enjoy it. And it's kind of confusing me. I said this probably 4 or 5 times now. 12 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. Too much story for one movie. Then, of course, Marvel hears that, oh, we got to go make another movie. We got to make another one. So stop making these goddamn movies. You know what I mean? Like, if you were successful, just make the one. Anyway, I guess I agree with Scorsese. It's a money racket. Now, like, half my day is dead. I missed all these football games, but it's weird how they suck you in because I'm not even the biggest guy who goes to these movies. And I feel like I have to. I feel like I'm pulled to go see it just to say that I saw it. And that's how they get you. That's how they fuck you. It was pretty convoluted, Scott. That's how they get you. They make you feel like fear of missing out. FMO. That's like a social condition, a social disease. A lot of people have that, especially with things like film or TV shows. Oh, gee whiz, Pat's one, very good. Uh, FMO, fear of missing out. You know, like that's why people, when Cobra Kai comes out, that's why I sat there and watched all the episodes in one day, because I didn't want my Twitter feed to give it away. And what other people do that I don't is they'll see a movie and then they'll just tweet or they'll Facebook post, I can't believe this happened and such. You know what I mean? And I never fucking do that. I do the video, but people have the choice to opt into the video or not. Marvel films are becoming like WWE's crap. You got it, Lawrence. You got it, buddy. I did do a video today for Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube channel, so I'm cross promoting. Monty and the Pharaoh has the Angry Wrestling Fan. In case you've been wondering, Mike, all your thoughts on pro wrestling, where are they today? Click on over to Monty and the Pharaoh, MONTE, and the Pharaoh, PHAROAEH, I think. And you can just go to suggested channels. If you scroll down here on my channel, you should see a list of suggestion channels, and the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube channel is the first recommendation. Hopefully they've given me the reach around by now. My buddy Landon's ASMR, if you're into that, if you need your head tapped, he's got a nice channel. And the David Hoffman filmmaker guy. And guess what? That web series I told you about, 4 great episodes. It's coming out soon. I'm going to double check the final edits and make sure everything's okay. But a very exciting, the Philadelphia Experiment. It's going to blow you away. If you're into filmmaking, if you're into pro wrestling, either or both, you're not going to believe what you see. It's going to be so exciting. And we've got 4 hours of entertainment, maybe 3.5, broken up into a 4-part series. It's going to be controversial. It's going to be exciting, and so on and so forth. So, gentlemen, been nice talking to you all guys. Mike, Lawrence, hope I'm saying that right, buddy. Lawrence has got his Facebook wrestling group. Lawrence's pro wrestling group on Facebook. Scott, nice to see you in here, Scott. Jake with his podcast, wonderful. Of course, my buddy Eric is in there. Eric somewhere. There you go. What's this, buddy? Odd question. Are you going to be peep the XPW pay-per-view tonight? I guess not. I guess I wasn't really thinking about it. I'll look into Fight Network, see how much it costs, but I guess I wasn't really into it, buddy. What could Marvel do to make their films good again? Oh, good question, buddy. God. Get Lawrence's thing up there. What could Marvel do to make their films good again? Now, Scott, I can't even remember what I was babbling about. So the movie from 1984, please clarify. I can't remember. What could Marvel do to make their films good again? I don't know. I mean, I really don't. You know, I guess here's a word, okay? I think it's a hyphenated word, self-contained. If Marvel could make one self-contained movie, just one, that was really good, I'd probably like it. But you know what? I think I did see one with the Scarlett Johansson one. Wasn't that Marvel? And what was that called? I can't remember. But the thing, it was definitely part of this universe crap. And they even pulled out, like, I think Wonder Woman at the end. But it was, what was the Scarlet Black Widow from like the summertime? It had a long, Philly. No, not the. Well, yes. See, you got the reference. It is a reference, Scott, to the Philadelphia Experiment, the disappearing, which the movie, which I haven't even seen, but it's got a different. It's a reference to that story of the disappearing naval ship. You got it, buddy. Black Widow. Now, that wasn't totally self-contained, but that movie I liked quite a bit. So that was a Marvel Comic Universe movie, and I liked that one. It could have just been because of Scarlett Johansson, but I thought that movie, it told its own story with the father and the sister and the mother, and oh my God. But I don't know. I'm just telling you, I thought it was good. And I thought, although it still had some hooks for the other fucking shit, it kind of stood on its own. Yeah, buddy, it's a reference to the Philadelphia Experiment, but it's not really anything like it, to give you the answer of what our web series is. And that's actually the subtitle. I'm holding off on giving the full title right now, but you'll see it soon. So I guess this is what I would say, Laurence, to answer your question. If more of these movies from Marvel Comic Universe were in the vein of Black Widow, I'd be very happy. If they were all on that level, and I think I saw that one not in 3D. Maybe I wish I could have if it was, but and they gave her a hard time because she wanted more money because they streamed the thing at the same time they released it in the theaters. So maybe she, screwed herself on that one or whatever the fuck. But I mean, I like Scarlett Johansson. I like that movie, and so on and so forth. I'm trying to think of that actress's name. I almost had it. Her name was like the woman that was in the Flamingo Kid with Ben Stiller. She was a blonde. She was in another movie, 27 Dresses. She played the sister, and she was like kind of the hot thing for a cup of coffee. And now she's not because the Margarol or something, like her name was like Margarol or Margaret. It's just a tough, unforgiving business. It chews people out. It spits them out. So you get what you can when you can. Thanks to Pete for checking in. We got another comment here. Black Widow, yeah. Thanks for Pete. Was he here earlier? But I think he left at this point. Maybe not. I don't know. Pete was a good cameraman yesterday for the Avalonia Festival. I appreciate that. Well, gentlemen, I guess I'm going to go. It's Sunday. You got like half of your last half of your weekend left. Like you're kind of in the bottom of the ninth for your weekend, or maybe the bottom of the eighth. The Braves won the World Series. I was very upset that Stephen A. Smith did not. I mean, the First Take and Skip and Shannon did not talk about the World Series. I didn't understand that. They were like blowing it off. Maybe they mentioned the second half of their shows. And this Aaron Rodgers interview, I watched that with the wrestling commentary guy. That was very interesting. Marvel Studios has a fantastic record for a long time. They're bound to screw it at some point. Well, there you go, man. And I just think it's like, I don't want to say they got too big for their britches, but if they're expecting everyone to watch every movie and go into the theater with a book of notes, isn't that asking the audience for a little too much? Is every fucking person who goes into the theater to see one of these movies supposed to have like their nerd sheet, their cheat sheet of all the dynamics of the characters? Maybe that's what they're expecting. I don't know. You're right. They don't usually talk baseball. And that's true, and look, I'm not trying to be as they say on the streets, a playa hater here. I'm just saying I like the self-contained stuff. That's just my preference because I can't remember. I mean, can you guys, when you go see one of these Marvel comic movies, do you remember all the stuff you saw previously? How do you remember all of it? Skip and Shannon or like football, basketball, boxing. I get that, Mike, but isn't the World Series supposed to be something of importance? I mean, maybe it's just a generational thing, but back in my day, the World Series meant something. You would sit there and you'd listen to the radio with your grandfather, and you'd beg him to stay up past 9 o'clock at night to hear the late innings. Just now, and nobody gives a fuck except for me. I mean, except the last baseball fan. But I only care for the World Series. I'm not going to sit there and watch, it's game 152 out of 160 or whatever. It's not that important to me. All right, gentlemen, been a wonderful live stream. We covered many topics. Let's see. They probably don't watch baseball, so can't comment on too much. I guess, yeah, you're probably right. But I mean, shouldn't they be watching baseball if they're sports commentators? I mean, to me, wasn't baseball once the number one sport in the country, the United States? I guess they got that guy in the parking lot from earlier, right? But wasn't baseball like a big deal? Like Lou Gehrig, and he got a disease named after him. He was so famous. You know what I mean? So I don't know. There's an old joke of like, Lou Gehrig. What did he die from? Lou Gehrig's disease. You should have seen that coming. I mean, I don't know how I got into Lou Gehrig jokes. No offense to Lou or the disease, just humor. Let's see. Been a pleasure. Thanks, Lawrence. Thanks, everybody. Have a good Sunday night.